Hi, I'm Trina Wilcox, and welcome to Run Radio's Tell Me More segment. Today's guest, Richelle Massengale. You, like many of us, business entrepreneur, got multiple things going on. And I just want to know, as an entrepreneur, how you do it, because there are so many people that are doing side gigs these days. And we have this pressure to try to multitask and get all of these things done in such little time. So tell me more about how you're making it all work.
Trina, that's right. I think we all feel like that. And I think it's kind of just a belief in our society today that we can do everything all at once, right? And we feel overwhelmed. And I think it's getting better in that we're talking about it and sharing about it. But sometimes we feel like we should be doing more or we're not good enough. And, um, I see that a lot in my counseling business where clients come in and they're overwhelmed, and we talk about that and what can we do about it. Well, one thing that I really like to say is that I read a book last year that was life changing for me, and it's called The One Thing by Gary Keller of Keller Williams.
Okay.
And in that book he talks about how there are so many things going on and we really aren't great at multitasking, right? So what would do one thing at a time at any given time throughout your day. Just ask yourself, what's my one thing, right? And focus solely on that. Maybe you close your door, you go someplace where you can work quietly and focus on your one thing and get that done, and you do it very well. It reduces stress and it raises productivity.
So what do you have any tips for doing that? Like, do you do a list, or do you have any way to help prioritize those? Because sometimes it's daunting to know
Mhm.
what's next when some kid has to be at this class and a spouse has to be at another workshop. It's overwhelming.
It really is. It feels overwhelming. And I think the first thing to do is to stop telling yourself you're overwhelmed, because the more we say that, the more we're going to feel it and believe it, right? So, list making is terrific. Time blocking, I know everybody has a different view on that, but I really like to do that. Um, Setting aside a time for yourself is important, your family. So, it's almost like you're setting appointments with yourself.
So
Set your
what does
appointment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think you are telling me, but time blocking, I've not really applied that. How do you go about that?
So you leave a block of time on your calendar, say to work on marketing. That's one area that I'm trying to improve on, right? Something where we don't have an appointment with another person necessarily. So that's already on the calendar, but maybe we want to do a project or, market the business, or maybe we want to spend time with our kids. So we block off a time, an hour, 2, 3 hours, whatever it might be. It might be a day, it might be 4 hours, but so that we are focusing on that activity and we're not trying to do something else. Sometimes things that aren't a set in stone get pushed aside. Might be time with our family. It might be that time for marketing or self-care, is to, to even, I mean, go get new clothes or, take a walk, right? So I think it's important to find that time and make an appointment with ourselves.
Do
Just
you
block it off.
do you find it's easier to do that for you, like with a digital calendar, or do you use the good old fashioned pen and paper? Are there some types of applications that you felt are more effective for you?
Well, I'm old fashioned and I use paper and my pen. I have my paper calendar and I love my paper calendar. Never give that up. But a lot of clients like to use their Google Calendar in their phone, and maybe some or notes, the notepad in their phone and things like that. But whatever's comfortable for you, I say just stick with it. If you're a tech person, put it in your phone, and if not, just use what's comfortable, because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to follow through with it.
So, do you revise your priorities like on a regular basis, or just daily what you need to work at?
I love that question because I find that I do. If I find I'm frustrated with my schedule and I don't feel productive, or I think, hey, this doesn't really feel good, it's not working, I can change it. What I realize as an entrepreneur is I'm in charge of my schedule. So instead of feeling that sense of this is burdensome, change it. Every month, every 2 months, I literally look at my schedule and I think about it. What's working, what's not? What do I want to do that I'm not doing? What are some things that I'm doing that aren't serving me? And I change it. I mean, I think we could do it weekly if we need to, or even daily. We've got a to-do list, and sometimes things come up, they become a priority they weren't before, right?
Right.
So one of the main great things about being an entrepreneur is that we are in charge of our schedule and we can rearrange things, and it isn't set in stone.
When you started out on the entrepreneurial journey, was it scary for you, or were you pretty bold in knowing what you were after?
I don't know if I knew enough to be scared, right? I just did it. So sometimes I think it's scary for all of us, though, because we get out, some of us don't know. For example, when I graduated with my master's, I didn't know anything about running a business, right? So I think a lot of trial and error and finding some mentors along the way is helpful. I haven't done that a lot. I haven't hired a business coach or anything like that. But I think saying that we're not afraid is maybe not being fully honest, because at times I think we are, especially during the last couple of years when things slowed down and we were like, how do we navigate this?
Right.
What are we going to do? But I think that also, if what we're doing isn't a little scary, then our goals probably need to be adjusted because they're not big enough.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're a little too content or comfortable already.
Yeah, it's too easy, right?
Okay. What are some of the things that you've realized along the way that have not worked for you, that you've tried and you're like, no, this has to change. This is not going to work. Kind of like the scheduling and things like that.
One main thing was with scheduling. I homeschool. I have a son, a teenager, and we homeschool. And so I used to try to see clients in the morning, but then so many clients want to come in after work, and I was trying to do morning appointments and evening appointments and trying to be so flexible for clients that it was hurting our schedule and it was so stressful. I mean, I don't want to work a 12-hour day, right? It's not healthy and that's not good. Probably not even, it's not even really productive, because I think that if we're given 4 hours for a task, we can do that task typically in 4 hours. If we're given 8, it feels 8 hours, right?
Right.
So changing my schedule and working from home more, I think is great for me. And I know that's not for everybody, but those were big things. Focusing more on exercise and diet has been helpful. Things, not that weren't working was, lack of self-care. Well, that doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? Getting so caught up in the business, and the notion that I have to be here, I have to please everybody. The realization, I think, for many of us that not everybody is our client or customer. We're not a good fit for everybody. I think at first that wasn't working because I was trying to be available to everybody's schedule or to every type of client. And it's typically, it's not the case.
And that's something to speak to as well. I know sometimes in the beginning we cut our worth down a little bit. We're like, well, we're just starting out, so I need every client or I need every dollar, and I should cut everybody a break. Is that something you've realized and had to change, like in many areas? Because just because we're starting out doesn't mean we're less than.
I love that question. And I talk about that a lot with my counseling callings, right?
Okay.
I think that as counselors, we have the notion too that we're not running a business. Well, we are, right?
Yeah.
And there's some guilt there asking for your fee, right?
Right.
I think people don't understand what goes into a private practice, how much overhead there is, expenses, and we are valuable even if we are starting out. So for those people who are starting out, I love that, and let's talk about that. That's you are worth what you're charging, and money is an exchange of energy. Okay, it's not bad or evil or anything like that. So if you feel comfortable with what you're charging, then it's probably your price.
Yeah.
If you feel like, oh, I'm not giving enough value,
Yeah.
you can either increase your value or lower your price. Because we want to be fair. So it
Mhm.
needs to be even, and all really, honestly, I try to give more value than what I'm charging. That's
Yeah.
how I try to run my business. That's my goal. If I'm charging too little, then it's going to be a problem because it's going to cause a problem with my business. It's going to pull my focus from my clients, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
We all have to have money to pay bills and to do things that we need and want to do to be healthy. So there has to be a balance, and you are worth it. And don't ever apologize for what you charge. Find people who are your people, and they will be comfortable paying what you're charging.
And how are some ways that you do that? Finding your people, find your tribe, instead of pleasing everyone, how do you kind of focus in on that? Because in the beginning, especially, it's easy to feel like, I've got to be everywhere. And we
Right.
can't.
Yeah, it is. I'm kind of nerdy in that I read a lot of business books just for fun. That's what I like to do. I like to read those. And I there's a lot out there about telling your story,
Mhm.
sharing your story. That helps because people connect with you, right? And I do a lot of that in my marketing. I say, okay, I've been where you are, I understand. And we find a niche, it's not everybody is our client. Not
Mhm.
everybody's going to want to buy the same product or talk to the same person.
Right.
I've got a lot of great counselors that I work with and refer to, and we're all different personalities. We have worked differently. We may have some similarities, but we're all different, and not for everybody,
Mhm.
right? Different backgrounds, different training, different religious or spiritual beliefs. All of that comes into place. So, if somebody's looking for a Christian counselor, or someone that works in a different way, hey, we've got all of these options.
Mhm.
So just knowing what are you interested in, what do you feel like you excel in, that's probably your niche. if
Mhm.
you're if you're talking about something and you're not passionate about it, why would you want to do that all day?
Mhm.
Right, find what you love and start looking for those people, and then you'll be able to help them best, because in the end we all want to help meet the people that we can help the best, right?
Mhm. What are some of the ways you do that? I know we've got social media, there are networking groups, but sometimes it just still feels like overwhelming to know where to pour that energy into looking for those people that will support you and you can support them in return.
It really does. And I think that we do some research and do some of it's trial and error. What works, what doesn't work. When clients call in, I ask them, where did you hear about me?
Okay.
And I'm grateful that I am at the point in my business where I'm getting some good referral business. It's more every year, right?
Right.
And that's wonderful. It's the best kind, because what a compliment. We already have people out there that are helping us, right? Oh, we trust you. I'm gonna send my friend over there. Social media has been really good to me too. Keeping, I think, in touch with our friends and letting them know what we do. Our
Mm-hmm.
circle, our sphere of influence is so important. Um, how many times do we run into our friends and they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know you were doing that now," or whatever, right? Um, so start where you are. Start with in your circle and work out from there. Um, think about where your clients are. Who do you want to work with, and where are they? Right? If they're golfers, then you got to go to maybe advertise on a golf course or at the golf shop. My clients, I work with a lot of people who are unfortunately, getting divorced
Mm-hmm.
and struggling with that pre-divorce. They're in litigation or maybe post-divorce. So I work with a lot of attorneys. So I think just knowing where your people are, what they need. I think you have to get to know your customer or your client. I think that's really important.
All right. Anything else that I haven't asked you that you want to share?
Well, I'm always happy to talk more about my business, but I think we're getting closer to the end of the time. I am, I don't know, I appreciate the opportunity to come today, and lots of stuff that I think we could talk about. I love working with my counseling clients, and I'm grateful to be here. I don't know if I might just give maybe my website or something like that. So my business here in Springfield, and I meet with clients online or in person. And my website is sage-holistic.com. You can find me there or through Facebook. I love working with clients who are going through that divorce process, working with co-parenting and anxiety, depression, all the stressors that come with that. Any clients involved in litigation, if you're in the court system, dealing with attorneys, if you're dealing with an attorney, probably it may be a good fit. So I will talk to someone on the phone for about 15 or 20 minutes to see if we're a good fit before they come in. So they can feel free to call me at 417-319-4227.
All right. Thank you so much. I would love to have you back. We'll talk more. If anyone has questions, send them our way. You can hit us up on our social media. You can send questions, info@runradio.net. Until next time, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.